Lyn. Today we're doing Southern sweet potato pie. Southern sweet potato pie is definitely a favorite in my house. Here in the South, sweet potatoes grow just about anywhere. This recipe is absolutely my favorite. I've worked to perfect it through the years. I want the pie that has a perfect amount of sweetness without hiding the flavors of the sweet potatoes. Instead of meringue or ordinary whipped cream, I've made this luscious cream cheese whipped cream that adds the richness but not the sweetness you need for this pie. To top it all off, literally, I'm adding candied pecans, and all of these components together make this pie to die for. It is perfect and amazing. I cannot wait for you to see it. So let's get started. The first thing I like to do when making sweet potato pie is to make a homemade crust. You do not have to do this. You can skip this and buy whatever crust you want from the grocery store, put it in your pie shell, and you'll be finished. But this is super easy, and I want you to give it a try. So the first thing I want to do is put 3 cups of flour into a stand mixer. You could do this all by hand if you want to. Super easy to do it by hand. All you do is get a pastry cutter and cut the butter up and your Crisco. Start with very cold ingredients. So I have here 1/3 cup of Crisco, and I'm just gonna put it right on top. And then I have 1.5 cups of butter. Now, I cube it before I put it into my food processor, and it's really easy to do, and I have a little trick for that. Cut it lengthwise 4 times across. You can freeze your butter, and it'll make this process a little bit easier. Okay, then we're gonna go down the other side. You're just going to chop it now into little pieces. So you want this to get distributed throughout the flour to add the fat that you need, the flavor that you need. We're going to put this dough in the refrigerator and let it rest several hours or even overnight before you use it, and it's going to make the best dough ever. Okay, so I'm going to add a little salt, about a teaspoon of salt. So not much. I give mine a little bit more because I like to really taste the salt in mine. Okay, put the top on your food processor. All right, so then I'm going to just let it go until it gets to be about like the small little peas. That's the size that you want it. So now I'm going to pour in just a little bit of ice water. Now, if you want measurements, you can go to my website, stacylynharris.com. Or you can get one of my books from Amazon. Just look up Stacy Lyn Harris and you'll see it. I have a book called Harvest, and this recipe is in there. This is 8 tablespoons of water, by the way. I'm putting it in tablespoon by tablespoon because I don't want too much water. Too much water will make it tough. All right, so it looks about done. So I am just gonna get this and gather it and make a ball. When you go to roll this out, it's going to be easier to roll. It looks kind of, crummy right now, but when you finally get it back out of the refrigerator after it's rested, it's going to be just perfect. And you can always add a little bit of flour if it's too wet. It's easier to correct it being too wet than too dry. I'm going to make a disc because this is easier to roll out in the end. So I'm going to kind of just smush it down and make a disc. And I will be putting this in the refrigerator. Okay, so let's make the filling. We grow sweet potatoes here in the South. They are everywhere. It's so easy to grow. And I have 1.5 pounds right here, and these are not washed, but I would wash them and then I boil them in water until they're done. So it takes probably about 20 minutes depending on the size of them. Then I drain them, and when they're cool enough, you can just take the skin right off. It's super easy. Look at that. And then you just mash them with a potato masher and you are finished. So I'm putting my sweet potatoes in here, and this ends up being about 3 cups. Anytime you do 1.5 pounds of sweet potatoes, no matter what they look like, no size, no shape, your 1.5 pounds is going to be exactly 3 cups. I've got some brown sugar, 1/2 cup of alaga, So what I'm gonna do here is just spray and then pour your syrup. And I love Alaga. It makes it taste really great. This is a cane syrup. You're gonna use half a cup and you're gonna pour it right in here. And it should come right out. It's much easier than normal. It's thick and luscious and delicious. We're gonna put the 3 eggs. They're at room temperature. Delicious. Okay. 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of ginger. You can use fresh ginger if you'd like, and a little nutmeg. And I do find that using fresh nutmeg makes it that much better. I even sprinkle the nutmeg over the whipped cream at the end because I love that nutmeg flavor. I'm gonna use 3/4 teaspoons of salt. Salt with desserts is amazing. It brings everything out. Last 2 things, a half a stick of butter melted and a cup of heavy cream. You can use half and half if you want to. I'm not mixing it too much. And all of my sweet potato is not completely pureed. It's kind of throughout. And it gives you a luscious look to your pie in the end. And I'm all about the way that the final product ends up looking. So I love that. And part of the reason I don't use as many spices is I want to see that orange from the sweet potato. Now it's time to put the crust in the pie shell. It's been sitting out for about 30 minutes from the refrigerator. And I'm just gonna cut this in half because this makes 2 doughs. So if you need one for a top crust, then you're good to go because you've got your top crust and your bottom crust. Or if you want to do a lattice, or if you want to do, little designs all around your pie, you've got it made because you have extra dough. I'm going to put a little bit of flour down. Okay. Put a little bit of flour on top of my dough. I'm going to push it down in the middle and roll it out. This dough reminds me of sugar cookie dough. The way that it just kind of molds to whatever you're doing. I'm gonna be making about a 13-inch round and just keep starting from the middle and pushing it out the way you want it to go. I'm gonna spray the dish with Pam and roll the crust up on my rolling pin, move it over, and unroll it into the pie shell. And I'm gonna patch this right here. You don't wanna stretch your dough because if you do, it'll shrink in the oven. Super easy. Okay, so I'm gonna go around the edges with my knife and just cut it off and make it straight. Now I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful. The first thing that I'm going to do is take a little bit of cream, put cream all around the edges, and it'll give it a nice shiny look. You can also use egg whites if you want to. And then I'm going to make little decorations, and you can get these just about anywhere at any kind of hobby store or kitchen store. You can get pastry cutters. So I'm going to just push this down right here. And this is really neat because this just pops right out. So here I have an acorn, and so I'm just going to put it around the edges, and this is just going to be so pretty. Okay, so now I'm going to pour this mixture into the pie shell. Now it's going to be nice and full, and you want it to be. Look at that. Is that just beautiful? Okay. All right, now it's gonna go into a 350-degree oven for about 45 minutes. Now it is time for the luscious cream cheese whipped cream. It's not very sweet. I did not make the pie part very sweet. This is not very sweet, but it's got just enough sweetness. So it's just perfect, and you've got to try this. And you can use this on cupcakes. You can use this on even icing cookies. I mean, it is just such a versatile icing. So I've already put in here 8 ounces of cream cheese. So now I'm gonna add to that 2 tablespoons of powdered sugar and 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. I'm gonna add a teaspoon of vanilla. And now, for the best part of this recipe, I'm gonna add 1/4 cup of Alaga syrup. Okay. We always have to have a pinch of salt. I'm gonna add 2 pinches because I really like it that way. Okay. We're gonna let this go until very high peaks form. Okay, I'm gonna test it. All right, that looks nice. Okay, that looks like a good consistency. Okay, so I'm just gonna fill my piping bag with the whipped cream, and I'm gonna put it way down in the bottom. So if your pie comes out cracked, you can kind of cover it up by making little designs around the pie. Now it's time to make the candied pecans. I am so excited to show you how easy this is. Put about a tablespoon of butter. I'm gonna get it good and melted. All right, I had this on high, but I'm turning it down to medium heat so that my nuts don't burn. And if you're familiar with nuts, you can turn your head for just like 1 second and they will be burned. So don't ever walk away from your nuts. Now I'm gonna put in 2 tablespoons of brown sugar and handy dandy Alaga syrup. I'm using the cane syrup, their original syrup for this. It's dark and luscious. Look at that, 1, 2. Perfect, okay. I'm gonna get that good and mixed in to all the nuts. And then I'm gonna put in a pinch of salt. Like I said, you better keep your eyes on this. I'm watching it. I want them to brown, but I do not want them to burn. So if you turn this heat off and you continue stirring the pecans, you'll get that sugar outside texture instead of the shiny texture. But if you completely take them off of the heat and put them onto your parchment paper, which I have laying next to me, then you'll get a shiny texture. And that's what I'm gonna do, and it's time. So all the liquid has been soaked up, and now it's time to go onto the parchment paper. And I'm just gonna try to split them apart while they're going on here because I don't want them sticking together. Now let's get that finished pie out of the oven. All right, this pie looks amazing. Look at that. That is beautiful. Perfection. So here is your Southern sweet potato pie with cream cheese, whipped cream, and candied pecans. Does it get any better than that? For more information, check out my website, stacylynharris.com. I'm Stacy Lyn. See you next time.